Hello, my name is Aditya and this is going to be my project, which is an RFID attendance system, which is going to be built using RFID and a Raspberry Pi, and that'll allow me to be able to scan users in using a card. This might be seen in the company or office, and it's going to be built using the same principle. So I hope you'll enjoy, and let's get right to it. So this is my project here. I have the Raspberry Pi set up here. This is the LCD, which is currently lit up. I've connected the power source right here, and as you can see, the SD card is plugged in and the Raspberry Pi has its power on, and the green light is blinking to show that the SD card is being read. I've connected the 4 wires for the I2C serial interface into the Raspberry Pi, into the specific GPIOs. So all of that is now connected as well. And you can also see that the I2C has its power on. And this all should mean that the LCD is ready to go, because now that the project has been set up for these two components, I can now do the demo clock program. So now I'm going to go to my VNC viewer here, and then I'm going to run the demo clock program, which is now writing to the display. And I go back here, and as you can see, the display now has some text on it.
I have to import the data.
One potential problem that I came up with during this Raspberry Pi LCD setup was that the LCD repeatedly was not showing up the text, and I troubleshooted through the code itself, and that didn't seem to have any problems. So I went through the wiring again, reset up this, plugged it out, plugged it back in to see if there were any problems, but then eventually I couldn't find any. So I went online, and after looking through that, I researched that this potentiometer, this blue part here, it needs to be set to the correct setting here. So this can be changed with a screwdriver. And so I adjusted that, and that allowed me to adjust the contrast setting, since the potentiometer adjusts for contrast. So that allowed me to finally have the actual letters show up. Just a simple issue that could have been fixed, but hey, you live and you learn. So now that we can see that our LCD display has the demo clock program running, as you can see, the time is currently 10:01 a.m. and you can see that it is currently using that clock program. We are now going to focus on the next milestone, which is now adding the RFID to this Raspberry Pi and LCD wiring. So that RFID will now be the next step, so that I can finally connect the RFID as well, so that when I scan the RFID, it will go to the Raspberry Pi, which will then send the message to the LCD that the user has been scanned in.